A chapter selection from Wyatt Hertz in Alaska, Confessions of an Alaskan Marine Engineer, by Scott Fratcher. Mr. X. Part of my new job included signing time cards, dealing with requests for parts and forms that said parts had arrived, and more forms that said the old parts had been disposed of properly, and on and on. Could signing my name so many times in a row make me slowly lose my mind? I had tried just putting initials on the time cards, but Ray had somehow caught wind of my shortened signature on the many pages and called down to Seattle. Like a little tattletale, he pointed out that every form was required to show my full payroll signature. An accountant in Seattle checked my signature and sent me a memo telling me my initials were not sufficient, and I would have to provide a full signature from now on. In typical Ray fashion, wanting me to know he was the cause of my latest headache, he came to show me the way I should be signing my payroll signatures. He was at his desk, sitting with his back to me, when he suddenly spun around. I was just signing a time card when he called over. "Hey, Mr. Promotion Boy, you know how to sign your name?" Now what? You wanted a promotion. You wanted to be a big cheese? Well, welcome to the club. Now learn how to sign your name. Ray held up one of his signed time cards. His signature was perfectly neat. It was, in fact, amazingly neat. Not just his name, but his first, middle, and last name, all very legible, and each signature an exact copy of the last. Ray flashed me a "I'm so superior" smile, let out a little laugh, and turned back to his desk. I studied the pile of papers in front of me. Would anyone really notice if I just never signed any of these forms? Maybe the engineers, if they didn't get paid, but otherwise, would anyone really care? I looked through the stack of papers for anything important when I came across my Alaska commercial driving license. To drive a bus in Alaska, I needed a commercial driving license. To get the license, I had to take a simple written test and mail it to the Alaskan Department of Motor Vehicles. Now the license had come, but without a photo. In place of the photo was a large printed, "Valid without photo," and the plastic laminate had not even been sealed yet. Instead, I was supposed to sign my name on the card and run it through a laminating machine, and that would be my new Alaskan driving license. I really like Alaskan bureaucracy. In a flash, I picked up the driving license and made a simple scribbled X for my signature. I stuck the card into the plastic sleeve and went to find Gina at the front desk to run the card through the laminating machine. I always liked going to Gina's reception desk. She kept fresh-cut pine twigs that smelled of the Alaskan forest right at her desk. I gave her a little green card, and she looked at it. "Oh, good thing I caught this. You're supposed to sign your name at the X." "That is my signature, at least for now." I handed the card back. Gina began to smirk. I went back to my desk and slid the big stack of papers in front of me. I began marking a scribbled X on every signature space, thus racing through the pile. About halfway through, I really began to pick up the pace. I stood half out of my chair, flipping the pages over, rising my pen over my head and back down to scrawl another speed signature, while also making quick sounds and exclaiming things like, "Boom, done, and another, bam, and two more. Yeah, look at that, 2 per second." Ray stopped his card signing, spun around in his chair, and stared at me. He got up, waddled over to my desk, and examined my time card stack. "You have to put your full payroll signature on each time card," he insisted. "Seattle will be happy with my X." Ray held up a card, then began flipping through my card stack and making little finger wiggle no motions. "No, no, nope, never. You have to play by the rules, Mr. Rule Agitator. I'm sure you got the memo." I sat back into my seat, put a piece of paper on the desk, and looked at the clock. "Time me. Boom. Done. Did you get that? Too fast for you? Here, try again." I made another X on the page. "Yep, and another one. That's how many signatures in 1 second? 3, I think. Want to time me again? Ray did not seem to catch on to my game. And you, Ray, how long does it take you to put your signature on a piece of paper? 40 seconds? Maybe more? Now work this out. If I have to sign 100 forms per week, that is nearly an hour of wasted time that could have been spent anywhere but at this desk. You, on the other hand, will be spending about a full hour making your near-perfect signature that nobody will ever read or care about. So I save an hour per week for the rest of my life. How smart is that? Very smart indeed. I smiled. Ray stood for a moment counting out my numbers when he seemed to remember that an X is not my signature. It doesn't matter. You still can't sign your name with an X. You have to sign your full payroll signature. That's the regulation, and you had better get used to it. He made a little hip wiggle that slowly climbed up his belly to his shoulder, ending with a head bobbing left to right. Ray then crossed his arms over his chest, stuck out his chin, and stared at me. I fished through my pile of signed forms till I came to my new license, and held it up for Ray to see. He looked at the green card, not seeming to understand what he was seeing. He looked back at me with questioning eyes. I gave a slow smile and pointed to the X on the license. A dull light formed in his eyes. You can't do that. Done. No, it's not allowed. You should have made a complaint before we sealed up the new license. Ray was backing away from my desk, shaking his head no. So Ray, let's count this up. My new signature provides me a free week of life per year for the rest of my life. You know they say you can't buy time, but I think I just figured a way to get a lot of free time from the universe. Now what should I do with all that extra time? Read a book? Hang out and watch the birds? Take a long nap? Ray suddenly stuck his chin out at me. I'm telling Nigel, and I'm going to call Seattle. This will not be allowed. Take it up with the Alaskan Department of Motor Vehicles. They provided me with a license. Ray turned and stormed out of the office.